What is woke? It's a term you hear more and more every day on the internet, and frankly, the more it's used, the more I'm confused by its usage and meaning. Because it seems today's woke was yesterday's everyday occurrence. Don't believe me? Well, let's get into it and let's talk about it. I guess the first thing we need to discuss is what qualifies as woke. And the most common occurring thread seems to be leftist politics, left-leaning politics. Things like feminism, LGBTQ plus inclusion in anything, diversity. The list goes on and on. Things that leftists and leftist politics usually seem to line up with, coincidentally seem to line up under the term woke. And that's where the confusion really begins to start for me, because it seems as though today when a character shows up and is portrayed as a strong female character, that is considered woke because of a pro-feminist agenda, which seems strange. For example, with Disney, whenever they promote a female character that's empowered and strong, this is seen as a forced political feminazi message of some kind, and then has all these grifters crying into their platforms that Disney's gone woke. Really, because it seems I recall a number of years ago when Mike Pence was outraged that Disney was creating a movie like Mulan for promoting the idea of women in the military, something that's a rather common occurrence today. But for some reason that's not considered woke, but today's strong female characters, especially ones that are constantly featured in military or action-packed movies with any kind of combat skill, that's all considered woke. Well, what about Marvel and DC? Well, most if not all of those characters typically usually represented suppressed minority classes during the original time period when those comics were first created. And those companies have been continuing building on those stories of fighting for diversity and inclusion and equal rights for people who are different. Well, what about Star Trek? That's clearly forced political propaganda being shoved down our throats. Well, is this the same Star Trek that we're talking about, that at least in one episode featured a man in a dress and consistently talked about leftist politics being the norm and breaking down old political ideologies such as misogyny, racism? Again, the list goes on and on and on, and all of which was jam-packed with a diverse cast of people, even at one point featuring a prominent black character which during her time was seen as a taboo subject. Well, what about Star Wars? Clearly their politics have changed. Clearly their politics, it's completely forced politics into these stories about lightsabers and space battles, right? Well, are we talking about the same Star Wars who was created by a man who compared the Empire to the US military?
You did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Exactly. So were you thinking of that at the time?
Yes.
So it was a very anti-authoritarian, very kind of 60s against the man kind of thing. Right.
And the big, highly technical empire.
The English Empire, right?
The English Empire, the American Empire,
yeah.
Lost.
Yeah.
But for some reason, strangely, the original Star Wars, that's considered not woke politics. In today's time, when a strong female character is portrayed in literally anything, that's forced feminazi propaganda. But then you have characters like Leia, like Ahsoka, like insert any female Star Wars character here. Well, what about the diversity? Star Wars is a gigantic galaxy. It's a fictional galaxy filled with, teeming with, diverse, complicated life forms, many of which have been featured in other Star Wars films. Yet for some reason, having a black character front and center in a movie is seen as taboo. And I'm confused as to why someone would think that. Maybe it's not that all of these franchises have gone woke, because clearly they all have a pre-existing history of having those woke politics that people like to talk about so much these days. Maybe it's that you've become intolerant to those politics. Maybe it's not these franchises that's changed. Maybe it's you that's changed. Because there's at least a track record for franchises like Marvel that promoted diversity when they first came out and continue to promote diversity all the way up until now. There's a track record for Star Trek promoting things like equal rights for people from its conception. And there's been a track record for things like Star Wars promoting ideas like feminism. By all means, tell me your track record of when things start to change. When there used to be a good time when Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, and DC, they were doing things the right way, versus now. Things have changed only now. And it couldn't be possibly that you've spent the last couple of years perhaps watching certain YouTube videos with big bold lettering with words repeatedly used like woke, nuked, destroyed, feminazi, SJW snowflakes with glowing red eyes and someone pulling off the stupid face. Right? And perhaps these channels you've watched have maybe mocked these same ideologies that these franchises have always promoted. Which seems more realistic?
A picture of Superman kissing a dude. I think it's a dude anyway. I don't know if this person's non-binary. I don't know what the fuck is this person's deal. Well, Tom Taylor is making it extremely clear that Superman loves to kiss dudes. Superman loves some dick. This is fucking disgusting what is going on to all of the characters that we, on the other hand, you're a literal piece of garbage. You, Tom Taylor, the rest of you cucks at DC, fuck you. I don't know if there's any hope for DC Comics. Superman kissing a pink-haired weirdo.
Should I play this?
Uh-oh. What are we playing? Let me see.
I don't know.
My curiosity. No, it's a papa.
Could be bad. It could be good.
Everything's bad these days.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not this again.
Oh, no. Oh yes.
I was hoping for a pokey meme.
Cool. He, him, lesbian? No, there's no.
Cool. Now the LGBTQ confuses itself.
What is on the hands there? Are those bandages?
I was confused about that too. I figured it would be toxic to ask in this day and age.
This person's very like, don't notice the bandages on my wrist.
I think they're too fucking retarded to actually cut the wrists.
Not only do I not want women on the battlefield, and I think, of course, women can contribute to the military in a multitude of ways, but areas that require physical strength, endurance, and fitness, I don't, and here's the thing, not because I hate them, but because I don't want to watch them die out in the battlefield. Yeah. It's just like having female action stars. Like, well, how about you just have, that's why Gambit, Queen's Gambit was great. You're the best female chess player. Fantastic. There's no reason that can't happen. Why? Because women can be just as good at chess. Women cannot, you can't beat someone's ass with a high heel. You're gonna get your ass kicked, okay, Charlize?
But of course, that's just coming from me, who's clearly been brainwashed because he continues to enjoy movies that he's always enjoyed and holding to the politics that I've always supported. No. You're the real woke one. You're the one that's really not brainwashed. You just have to listen to videos that use the same trigger words, use the same thumbnails, use the same titles in every single thing to keep drawing you back every single time. And you gotta look me in the eye and tell me you're not the one getting played. You're not the one getting pandered to. Seems to me like the only forced politics that are being pushed anywhere are in these YouTube videos designed to piss you off. TV shows and movies, cartoons, following ideology that they've had since the dawn of their creation, suddenly, only now it's a problem? Or you've just watched YouTube videos that are constructed to psychologically piss you off and manipulate your thinking into thinking this is all new. Consider it. But that's none of my business. Have a good rest of your day.